So it's very natural to find the least common multiple of the first 10 natural numbers. But if you want to get the least common multiple of the first 10 natural numbers, then you would have the 360 times 7, and that is equal to 2520, which is too big. Okay, it's not easy to use. So we have to just go with the all those first 10 natural numbers except 7, and then we use their least common multiple, then we get the 360. So this is the reason why we use the 360. Okay, now you go to the textbook, you see, suppose this one is the one of the 360 equal arcs, then this is just 1 degree. Now, suppose you have angle like this, then to get the measure of this angle, you may just count the number of degrees that this angle contains. So now, if we rotate a ray away from the initial set counterclockwise, then the degree measure of this angle is positive. And if we rotate a ray from the initial set clockwise, then the degree measure of this angle is a negative. For example, here, we may have this approximately equal to, say, 45 degrees, right? If the rotation is clockwise, like this, we may have the negative 30 degrees. Okay, so the sign of the measure of an angle depends on how you rotate the ray away from the initial set. Now, if we have an angle which is between the 0 degree and the 90 degree, say alpha is greater than 0 degree, less than 90 degree, then we call such angle an acute angle. So alpha is an acute angle. And if this alpha is greater than 90 degrees, but less than the 180 degree, then alpha is an obtuse angle. Okay? And how about the alpha equal to 180 degrees? So in this case, we call this alpha a straight angle. So alpha is a straight angle. And we may see some examples. For this one, we may have the angles. Okay, we may have an angle of the 30 degree. So 30 degree is an acute angle. And in this case, we may have an angle of the 120 degree. So 120 degrees is an obtuse angle. And for this case, it's just a straight line. So you may have the point here. And this is 180 degree. So it's a straight angle. Now let's go to the next page. And we have another special case. So if an angle is equal to 90 degree, then we say alpha is a right angle. And then we draw the right angle in such a way. Okay. So actually, both the right angle and the straight angles are the examples of the quadrantal angles. So a quadrantal angle is just an integral multiple of the 90 degrees. So when we have the alpha equals 0 degree, 90 degree, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, 360 degrees. So actually, any integral multiple of 90 degrees is called a quadrantal angle. So when we write this as the k times 90 degree, and here k is an integer, can be positive or negative or 0. And you look at the angle in the standard position like this. So we know this one is 90 degree, right? And then this one is 180 degrees. And then this one is 270 degrees, right? And if you rotate one revolution, then you have the 360 degrees. And for all those quadrantal angles, their terminal sides are on one axis. For example, if you have the 0 degree, then the terminal side is on the positive x-axis. If you have the right angle 90 degrees, then the terminal side is on the positive y-axis. If you have the straight angle, the terminal side is on the negative x-axis. If you have the 270 degrees, then the terminal side is on the negative y-axis, right? So for all those quadrantal angles, their terminal sides are on one of the axes. So generally, when we just identify the degree measure of an angle with the angle, so when we just say the 90 degree angle, also 180 degree angle. So now, let's look at the two angles. Let me go to the whiteboard. So now, if I have the angle 270 degrees, like this, and at the same time, I also have another angle which is negative 90 degree. Now, these two angles share the same initial side, the positive x-axis, and also the same terminal side, the negative y-axis. So these two angles are called the coterminal angles. What are the coterminal angles? That the angles with the same initial side and the same terminal side. Okay. So actually, let's look at the difference of these two angle measures. Okay. So we have the 270 minus the negative 90 degrees. And then we get 270 degrees plus 90 degrees, which is equal to 360 degrees.